Sup, man?
Yeah, sup. Keep walking, you boondocks ripoff.
It was this exact moment when I knew that the Family Guy writers didn't give a crap about the Cleveland show, because ever since this episode, almost 10 years ago, Rallo has never spoken again. It was immediately clear that the writers only wanted Cleveland back, not his new family, not a bunch of unique characters with their own lives, quirks, and hobbies. Nope, they were just simply reduced to being background props. A couple of months ago, I made a video about Family Guy's most wasted character, Roberta, but this time I wanted to look at her forgotten brother Rallo, which is arguably an even bigger diss. I feel that this guy deserved his own dedicated video because he was such a fun character that's been totally underutilized for far too long. Now, the Cleveland show premiered in 2009 and Rallo was unfairly branded as the Stewie ripoff. But these two couldn't be more different. First off, Rallo was 5 years old and not a baby. And unlike Stewie, Rallo wasn't some evil super genius hell-bent on taking over the world and killing his mum in the process. Nope, Rallo had no visions of global conquest or matricide. And while he wasn't completely innocent, he was just a cool, rambunctious kid who was really just a total mama's boy. And as a child of divorced parents with his dad barely around, Rallo took on the responsibility of being the man of the house, so he was fiercely protective of his mother, which is why the first couple of episodes of the Cleveland show dealt with Rallo coming to terms with the fact that he had a new stepfather.
You have brought a cancer to our family.
Then with the second episode showing how Rallo came to respect Cleveland when he finally stepped up and took charge.
Well, look who finally showed up. A man. About time you took charge.
But it was a bit more complex than a simple fix by the second episode. Rallo would continue to give Cleveland a very hard time on the show and constantly compare him to his deadbeat dad Robert.
Cleveland? Oh, well that's about right. Sorry-ass wannabe trying to be as cool as my dad.
It would be a complicated relationship that would eventually improve as the seasons rolled. Unlike Family Guy, the Cleveland show actually explored these complicated family dynamics, not to mention that Rallo and Cleveland just played off so well against each other, unlike Peter and his kids, who, let's be honest, barely even have a relationship. Cleveland and Rallo's love-hate relationship was so important that it was actually the bedrock of their show, whether it was Rallo making his stepdad's life hell by pranking him,
You've been Rallo'd!
or teaming up to stop an axe murderer.
So, your husband and 5-year-old son just killed a guy. Pretty brave, huh?
I really loved their relationship because it seemed very balanced. They would fight, but they'd also have those sweet moments together too. Take this scene here from season 3 for instance, where Cleveland confesses that he sees Rallo like his own son.
Because from the moment I became your dad, it's become the only thing that I want to be.
And yeah, I admit it, the Cleveland show definitely didn't always work, but I do think they handled these intimate moments far better than Family Guy. And honestly, since Cleveland's return to Spooner Street, he's reverted back to the way he was before he left, undoing all of that character development that we've seen in the Cleveland show. So it would be really great to see Cleveland being a parent again and being challenged by Rallo. Cleveland is definitely the weakest of Peter's friends in terms of character, but reintroducing Rallo will give him far more funny storylines. I for one would love to see this father and son relationship continue to be explored in Family Guy, but I do seriously doubt that's ever going to happen. And as well as getting a new stepdad, Rallo also had to deal with having a new brother called Junior. And these guys, they're the complete opposites. Junior is large, sweet and a good-natured guy, while Rallo is a small, fast-talking, streetwise kid.
All we gotta do is complete your Freedom Squirt task checklist.
Oh, is that all, Junior? Is that all?
But you know what? That's why they work so well together, because Junior is the voice of reason and Rallo is there to encourage him to take more risks. An example of this is in the episode Fist and Furious, where the two guys open up their own food truck business. And everything is going very hunky-dory and very well for them up until a competitor moves into their territory. So Rallo plants some cockroaches in her truck and calls the health inspector. But instead of simply going along with this scheme, Junior demands that Rallo fixes his mistake, which Rallo does by pretending that the cockroaches are a Mexican delicacy and eats one to prove it. In short, they work so well together because they bring out the best in each other.
You've got a good heart.
Rallo is just one of those characters who can work well with anyone because he's rebellious and snarky but can also be very sweet and helpful. We see this in the episode Merry Christmas, which sees him befriend a lonely old man at a retirement home. They spend time together and Rallo learns about the Jewish faith. And at Christmas, when Murray is all alone, he busts him out.
Thank you, Rallo. You're a good friend.
Rallo even brings the entire retirement home residents to his house, and in an incredibly sweet moment, he gives Murray his Christmas present.
You said you stopped celebrating because you were alone. Well, this year you're not.
And unlike Family Guy, where continuity barely exists, the Cleveland show actually continues their friendship throughout the show's run. The genius of Rallo's character is that the writers never forgot that he was also a kid. Yes, he is sometimes too cool for school, but he actually does care about the people around him, including animals. In the episode Ain't Nothing But a Mutton Bustin', Rallo gets involved in mutton busting and is a natural. He soon forms a bond with his sheep Barnaby, but when he finds out that his new friend is about to be killed and eaten, he rides Barnaby off to freedom in order to save his life. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is that Rallo isn't a one-note boring character. He has depth, far more than most Family Guy characters anyway. As I talked about in my review of the show, I never really loved the Cleveland show. I just didn't, it had a lot of issues. But what I did like was the Tubbs family. And I'm not asking for Rallo to be a permanent character, but at least utilise him for a single episode. I can so imagine Stewie and Rallo hanging out and going on adventures. And it would be so easy. Like, I can definitely see an episode starting with Lois and Donna organising a playdate, and that's how they start hanging out. Maybe Stewie could come to him for advice on how to be cool and popular, or Rallo could come up with a money-making scheme using one of Stewie's pieces of technology, or a weapon. But that's just from the top of my head, and I'm definitely no writer. But even still, there's so many ways you could insert Rallo effortlessly into the show. Stories do seem to work best when two contrasting characters are put together, and these two would definitely bounce off each other so well. Rallo is street and business smart, while Stewie is a mathematical genius. And Family Guy loves pitting Stewie against other kids, like Doug, and they've just recently introduced someone else to play off him. All I'm saying is that Rallo, he's right there. Why go through the effort of creating a brand new kid character? It seems like a no-brainer, right? And it still baffles me why Family Guy haven't properly utilised them since their move to Spooner Street almost 10 years ago. I've often heard that the biggest reason comes down to not being able to get the original cast back, but I don't really think that's the issue, because the person who voices Rallo was Mike Henry, the guy who originally played Cleveland.
Please don't let my daddy get killed, Cleveland. You can't be my only male role model.
And Henry, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, stepped down as he felt that it wasn't right that a white person voiced a black character. So, in 2021, he was replaced with Arif Sahir, who in my opinion has done a fantastic job. So couldn't they just hire a new actor or even have Arif voice Rallo as well? Most of the cast voiced several characters anyway on the show, so why not? But whatever the reason, I just think it's a bit odd to build up this interesting cast of characters only to never use them. And I, for one, would love to see Rallo return. But what do you think?